so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the God-woken. Dallas the Hammer, the secret eternal, purged the God-woken and used the source to close the veil to the void. The world was saved. Statues in memory of the God-woken who sacrificed their source were erected all across Rivellon. They would never be forgotten. The half-demon Malady took pity on the soulless, God-woken silent monks and brought them to the Hall of Echoes. There, from the scraps of their souls that remained, she restored them to life. Sorcerers no more, they lived out the rest of their lives, freed of the burden of being the God-woken, freed from the weight of the world. As for me, the God-woken sacrifice severed the link that bound the sworn to the God-King, and I was finally free. To atone for my sins, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly, telling the story of the God-woken, that the world may never forget the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever seen.
At last, the world was at peace. As the races united behind Lucian, Arx remained the center of power. The ancient Lizard Empire opened its gates. The houses disbanded, and the Empire adopted a pluralist quasi-democracy. Anyone could vote for whoever they pleased, as long as the House of Shadows approved. With their queen dead and the Void-woken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork. Lucian made amends to the elves. He gave them lands and vast riches from the coffers of the old divine order. But the elves never forgave him. They would not trust humans again. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The Black Pit took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a center of industry, trade, and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Arx became a great metropolis, famed for its prosperity, its culture, its diversity, and the willingness of its denizens to stab each other in the back for the slightest advantage. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled down on the farm. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. She presumed she had them in thrall. The truth was, they just liked her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Ahu the wizard became one of Lucien's most trusted advisors once more. He always knew that something had changed in the divine. He never discovered what that was, or if he did, he never said a word. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. She founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering the last of the undead shelter from fortune hunters, novelty seekers, and ghouls. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. He made a fortune. With Lucien in power, Sahala took the elves away from the world. They grew strong once more amidst the trees of the regrown home forest. Some say her plans for revenge will bring about the end of days. Some say only Tova, her mother, holds her back. Lucien returned as divine, united the races, and became Lord Emperor of all Rivellon. Only Dallis knew that he was entirely powerless. Dallis and you. The Eternal, now known as Dallis, was a secret advisor to Lucien and to his successors. For eons she would walk in the world, and would outlive the peoples and all, and wander alone amongst the dying stars. And then there was you. In a world of peace, you could live forever. Your future was yours to decide. But you were a sorcerer no more. Did you accept your new status with gratitude, or did you rebel? Only you know the truth, you and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.